over-the-air HD stereo. Today's pregame show is brought to you by Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Texaco. Texaco with Techron delivers unbeatable gas mileage. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. Arrow Exterminators, official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com. Now, here's Eric Chiofalo and Bryan Broaddus.
It's a bounce-back Sunday here at AT&T Stadium, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into another Cowboy game day right here on your home of the Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan. It is the official pregame party. We're live at AT&T Stadium. The Miller Lite West Plaza, the party's going down. The gates are open, Broaddus. The beer's flowing, and the good vibes are here. Everybody's ready to go get that victory versus these Patriots. We got a Super Bowl champion, Bryan Broaddus, in the seat right next to me. And let's go ahead and break this thing down, man. I'm excited. I'm excited because last week was no bueno. Yeah. And now you get a team with an offense that's not very explosive. I think the defense is coming ready to party today here at AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, and actually a Super Bowl champion against this New England Patriot bunch and Bill Parcells.
Oh, you know exactly. You know exactly.
I know exactly how to beat these guys. But yeah, this is you mentioned a bounce back weekend for the Cowboys. Have to find a way to get this thing done. There's been some questions about things offensively in the red zone. There's been some questions about run defense. A couple of things that Bill Belichick and this New England Patriot staff will definitely test. This is one of the better defenses, I feel, that the Cowboys will face here in the early part of this season. When you look at their ability to walk with you in coverage, play the safeties the way that they do, and they can create some pass rush. And they're a good team up front when it comes to defending the run. So challenges all around for the Cowboys on that side of the ball. The Patriots don't score a heck of a lot of points, and a lot of it has to do with their pass protection. Their quarterback feels pressure 36% of the time. If you're one of those folks that believes in metrics and stuff, yeah, you could see it on tape. The numbers prove out that way. I have a feeling that the Patriots are going to come out and try and run the football, trying to establish some things, try and test to see if you fixed some of the issues you had when you overrun plays, bad gap discipline, or able to fill where you need to fill. The Patriots are going to try and see if they can take advantage of that.
And when they run that football, one of the guys they'll be giving it to is, of course, Ezekiel Elliott making his return to AT&T Stadium. He is the foe today. Him and Ramondre Stevenson in that backfield. But has Zeke actually been a little bit more impressive when you watch this team, you scout this Patriots team? What have you seen from Zeke compared to Stevenson?
Yeah, Stevenson, they're both very tough backs. The thing is that Zeke has gotten his production against light box, 6 or less in the box, generally running to his left. That seems to be where the Patriots are at their best, their ability to get the ball to the outside, the tosses, things trying to get them downhill. Where Stevenson has been better is 8-man or loaded box, 8+, trying to get downhill, does a good job of that, been some tough runs on his part. So, yeah, it just kind of depends on, I don't think you have a home run hitter in either back. You know, we saw some massive runs last week with Arizona and the ability to defend with Connor and how. I don't think that you get that from the Patriots, but I think you get a really physical downhill running game. And like I said, the right side of that Dallas Cowboys defensive line is going to be tested. That's where the Patriots are at their best running the football. Their left, your right. You have to be up to the challenge.
Yeah, might need to move around Tank Lawrence a little bit because I know defenses like to run away from him, and so bringing Tank to that other side. We remember in that Jets game, Nathaniel Hackett, the Jets offensive coordinator, I believe was taken off guard early in that game. He tried to run it to the offensive left, and oh my gosh, there's Tank Lawrence right there. He's not supposed to be on that side. He blows up the play, and it was a fantastic start to the game, and that's a big key, obviously, when the Cowboys have won these games. They beat the Giants, they beat the Jets. They get out early and often on these guys, and they start beating up on them. And I think that's going to be huge. And if the defense can set the tone early versus an offense, like you said, last week, Arizona, and we didn't have much respect for them going in. You did. You were queasy on this very program. We were going into that game, and you were a little bit nervous, especially with the way the offensive line looked last week. But we found out, my gosh, they got some guys that can make explosive plays. They got some speed. Hollywood Brown, Rondell Moore, James Conner, and then the quarterback, Dobbs. And that's different, obviously, today with Mac Jones. But the Patriots don't have anybody that scares you in terms of big play, speed, explosiveness, right?
No, it's a really steady attack, and I mentioned they don't score many points. This might be a day where actually kicking field goals, if you're the Cowboys, could help you, win this game, because there just isn't a lot of explosiveness. It's just not, and it's so steady with the way they play that they get in some trouble because of the outside. The receivers are good, nothing great, no game breaker on the outside. I think that when you look at Kendrick Bourne is probably the one guy, they have some size on the outside. It's a veteran group. Where I think that the Patriots are going to attack when throwing the football is going to be, are you good enough to handle their tight ends? Can you handle Hunter Henry? Can you handle Mike Gesicki? That's how this is going to work. Underneath, quick passes, try and just move the sticks that way. Mix in a little bit of the running game, test you that way. But watch for these Patriot tight ends. If they get matched up, they can make catches on your defensive backs if they're in contested situations. Big body guys, good hands, solid with the way that they bring the ball in. Quarterback rating over 100 with both of these guys. You can't say that about these wide receivers.
Okay, so who are you looking for defensively for the Cowboys today to maybe bounce back from last week?
Yeah, I think as a whole, when you start to talk about the front seven in total, you're going to need a nice game. I thought in the second half they found some ways to limit what Arizona was trying to do. They, find a way to get some pressure. But I think when it's going to come inside. When you look at the Patriots, I don't really like what they're doing inside with their guards. We always talk about guard play, but they've struggled a little bit here with the guard. And I think it really starts with Cole Strange, the second-year player. He's kind of been thrown in. He doesn't play with a lot of power. He's playing with a bad knee right now. I don't
even think he's playing today.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I say, so have you heard he's already inactive?
I'm pretty sure he's out. I'm pretty sure he's
well, if that's an
out
situation, I was going to wait for the updates of the inactives.
I got all those sources.
I know. So that being said, it might be that they go with Sidney Sowell, who is a rookie, a fourth-round draft pick. They've got a couple of guys as backups. Mafi and Sidney Sowell are the two guys. Sowell's a young man that is from Eastern Michigan. He's a big guy. He's 6'5", 318. So this would be really his first opportunity if he's healthy. He'd been in the concussion protocol, and so he might get his first NFL start today for the Patriots.
I think it's a bit. Yeah, okay. Big test for the linebackers. Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark. Somebody better step up and play.
Got to play downhill today, but got to play under control. Can't overrun plays. Can't play at a gaps. Can't try to be hero ball today. Play your scheme. Play your technique. Fit in those gaps, and don't give these backs any ability to break a run on you.
And then Donovan Wilson was another guy who I was fired up. He's one of my favorite players, has been for the last couple of years. He's got the dog in him. He wants to take your face off. He's a sure tackler, but he's a big tackler, and I couldn't wait to get him back on this defense. And it was a little underwhelming for that first game. I'm looking forward to him stepping up big, J-Ron Curse, and those type of guys are going to have their hands full, as you mentioned, with the tight ends as well. When you look at the Cowboy offense versus Bill Belichick, this is a good defense. This is a good Patriots defense, and that's why I think both of us think this is probably going to be a low-scoring game here.
Yeah, every time you feel like it is going to be a low-scoring game, and the Cowboys have had a pretty nice history of when they have a loss the next week coming back and winning games by double digits. Just kind of getting into a nice feel offensively. I don't know if the Patriots are going to let you get into that good feeling. We'll see how this all plays out. But I do feel like, though, that there's going to be some challenges. We mentioned with the secondary, we're going to talk about this Christian Gonzalez, the rookie from Oregon, a local kid, from the Colony, and so he's one of these kids that when you watch him play, they immediately threw him into the fire and said, "Okay, you go cover, you go play your game." He's a long guy. He's got the ability to stay with guys. He's a ball hawk. He's the one guy that has the interceptions. You got to be careful around him because he does have the ball skills in order to finish plays if you're reckless with the football.
Does this Cowboy offensive line have a chance today? No Tyron Smith, but it looks like you're going to get Broaddus and Martin back. That goes a long way for you.
Yeah, I asked you on our show on 105.3 The Fan during the week.
G-Bag Nation,
G-Bag Nation. I asked you and Gavin and Zach, if you could have two of the three back, who would you choose? And I didn't know. I didn't get the feeling you guys were. It felt like that it was Broaddus and Martin being back that you guys were good with. Me personally, give me the left tackle. The way that Hoffman played the other day gives me some confidence that you could have got through that game. I mean, the way that Tyron Smith was playing the first two games, at least in pass protection, I think that's going to be the key today. Is can you hold up on these edges with what the Patriots are going to bring? They're going to bring some pressure too. Dak, these backs, they've got to be aware of slot blitz. We all remember the days of Orlando Scandrick when he'd play tight slot and he'd come flying down inside and hit the quarterback in the back and cause some problems that way. Patriots will do that as well. They're going to throw a pass coverage. They use what we call that cover 6 against the Dolphins, where you split the field in half, you go half man, half zone, and you try and confuse the quarterback in the look that you're going to give. So Bill Belichick is going to come up with some exotic coverage. The last time that these two teams met in 2021, Dak Prescott just absolutely murdered him in zero coverage. That's no safety in the middle of the field, man across the board, just an all-out blitz kind of a thing. Dak hit him for 3 touchdowns in that game last time they did that coverage.
It's the official pregame party of America's team. Cowboys Nation come out early to the Miller Lite House, the pregame gathering destination on the West Plaza of the stadium. We're here right now. Miller Lite is the only beer of the Cowboys, and we invite all Cowboys fans to join us for a great tailgate event. Sample some great seltzer brands as well, like Vizzy Hard Seltzer, the official seltzer of the Cowboys. So Adoga is going to get that start at left tackle again. I mean, can you figure out why it's not Tyler Smith? Your first-round pick, second-year guy, played a lot of left tackle last year, but he's been obviously playing the guard spot all off season. But you had to know that Tyron Smith was going to be missing some games. And so I guess the initial plan B to Tyron Smith is Adoga to be your left tackle. Is that how you would do it? Do you like that? I just feel like Adoga's better at guard, and Tyler Smith has showed that he can be he can be a dang good left tackle for you.
Well, that's the thing about it is, though, in this game you've got to figure, you had a chance all week if you wanted to try Tyler Smith at left tackle. I mean, not try, but if you wanted to work him this week, you could have
made that your plan.
That was been your plan, but they're comfortable with Adoga playing at the tackle spot. They want to be able to keep Tyler Smith at the guard. It's something that they always believe in with, it's something that they always believe in with the keeping the front of the pocket firm. Continuity's
gotcha.
Out the window. When you're starting to talk about the Cowboys and continuity on the offensive line, it's over like 2,000 snaps since they haven't played with the same 5 guys. Every week it's been a different combination. So Stephen Jones, the Jones fan, everybody talks about continuity. You can't talk about continuity, not with this offensive line the way it is.
Yeah.
You just have to find a way to adjust to the way that you need to play. Put your best 5 out there, and they feel like this is the best 5 way to go.
Well, we're just getting started here on a Cowboy game day here on your home of the Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan, 877-881-1053 to join the conversation. And we keep the party rolling with Bobby Belt, Cowboys Insider, coming up next right here on The Fan.
RJ Shop here, Fire President. Hey, number 1 Air, proud part of the Dallas Cowboys. Do not.
Stadium. Cowboys and Patriots, ladies and gentlemen. The party is here, and Bobby Belt is sitting down with us right now as we go inside the Star. Bobby, does Bill Belichick strike the same fear in you that I'm sure he at least used to?
Yeah, look, I mean, like, is the personnel what it has been in the past? No. Does he have the same quarterback? No, obviously. But, yeah, in terms of just a guy who can scheme things to make it difficult, especially defensively, yeah, absolutely. He's somebody who's going to challenge what they want to do on offense. And, look, I think that what the Cowboys have put on tape these first 3 weeks in terms of what they like to do with the passing game, what they like to do with the running game, I think that that's something that Bill Belichick is very familiar with, concepts he's very familiar with, and knows how to game plan to stop it. Now it's up to the Cowboys to execute and beat it.
Bobby, when you look at this Cowboy offense, it doesn't appear, at least through 3 weeks of the season, that they want to do anything with attacking the middle of a defense.
No, they don't.
Is this more about the evaluations that they made in the offseason of where potentially the problems were for some of their turnovers? Is that, are you trying to avoid an area that you might not want to go into that could cause you problems?
Yeah, it certainly feels like a conscious effort to avoid the middle of the field. Like, I mean, right between the hashes, the ball's just not going there right now.
You had an interception, though, down on the goal line from the middle of the field, right?
Yeah, there was an interception there. And so, look, I think that's part of what they want to try to do is it's got to be quick throws. It's a lot of stuff in the flat. It's a lot of stuff outside the numbers. And look, I mean, the West Coast offense is about stretching the field horizontally instead of vertically, obviously. Right. And so you're going to try to play the entire width of the field, and naturally you move away from the center a little bit. But it does feel like there's been a conscious effort to, hey, let's not put the ball in harm's way in the middle of the field, and let's not jeopardize turnovers by, trying to make risky throws. Let's just, take our profits and steadily march down the field. It's just obviously once they've gotten in the red zone these last 2 weeks, things have stalled out.
Is this offense, though, capable of just marching the ball 10, 12, 13 plays and finishing? And I mean that in a way of there always seems to be something that, okay, a sack, a penalty, something. This doesn't seem like a team that I guess it is capable, but is there always going to be something that drops it back?
I mean, they're definitely capable of marching down the field. Executing inside the 20 is the question, obviously, and it's what they've talked about. Dak said this week that, he wouldn't call it concern, but it's clearly been an area of focus for them this week.
Right.
And so I think that when they get in the red zone, one of the things that I want to see happen is that these concepts that they're doing with the passing game, which are shorter, quick throws, as you're kind of marching down the field and you've got the space to do that, I wonder that when things get tighter, when the field gets and you're clogging all 11 defenders into these concepts, whereas when you're at the 30, the other 30, you can send Brandon Cooks on a 9 route and kind of clear things out. You can do different things. I just wonder if when that gets tighter, these concepts, if they're being creative enough, or if it just does come down to execution. Jets definitely felt like execution.
Right.
Cardinals felt like just I don't know what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, to me, every time that I watched the Cardinals, it felt like it was 4-on-3, 3-on-1. It seemed like that the Cardinals had a really good feel for how to defend you down there in that red zone.
I think they felt like they were a team that felt like they could probably get home with 4. And
so did the Jets, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you struggled against the Jets in the red zone.
Yeah, but the thing with the Jets game to me was, you mentioned about execution. Tyron Smith gets called for a holding on a touchdown run of 6 yards. Tyron Smith misses a block down there and ends up being a negative
Peyton
play.
Hendershot doesn't turn up field. Yeah,
I think there's some creativity going on down in the red zone. I don't think it was as creative as, if that's a word, that I don't think it was as creative last week as it was the previous couple of weeks down there.
And no doubt that is to do with their offensive line personnel, I would guess. That they felt
Did McCarthy get scared in that game last week, guys?
Yes.
Did he when he found out Saturday night he wasn't going to have 3 of his guys, did he
I think McCarthy
put
told
that thing
you that.
in his shell?
I think McCarthy told us that this week, essentially, that if he could go back and do things a little differently, he probably would. But that, Tony Pollard right after the game talked about it was a little frustrating knowing we had to pull plays out of the playbook. pull plays out of the game plan, knowing that, we couldn't necessarily run those given the personnel that we had. So, Pollard acknowledged that said after the game they had to take stuff out. So.
And the game plan offensively is already one that plays a little bit scared to an extent. They're trying to, hey, let's avoid the turnover. Hey, we're fine with just taking a couple yards here. We don't need to be
they would say
down
conservative.
the field.
They would say conservative.
Conservative. That's fine. That's fine. Conservative.
Is that the best way to play with Dak?
No, the best way to play with Dak, I think, is to let Dak make plays for you. Is to just let. You've always said it that when he gets dirty, when he takes a couple hits, like when he's able to feel the game, when he's able to feel the game, he seems to play his best. I think that. What was the thing we saw on tape all the way back to Mississippi State and then into the pros where he was always so good? He was so good rolling out. He was so good kind of freelancing a little bit, making plays. And it just feels so regimented. I don't know if, regimented, tight restrictions are the way to let this quarterback thrive.
Bobby Belt with us here on The Fan. What's the offensive line look like today, and will there be a similar excuse at the end of this one?
No Tyron Smith, obviously. He was ruled out Friday, so left tackle, it sounds like will be Chuma Edoga, and that's something that Mike McCarthy talked about with us on The Fan on Friday, said that he views Chuma as a tackle, and that guard is just what they asked him to do, but Chuma's more comfortable as a tackle, and he thinks he plays more comfortable as a tackle. And they talked about the continuity, wanting to have Chuma and Tyler play next to each other. That's where they took reps next to each other during training camp. So it sounds like Chuma will be left tackle, and then it sounds like you are getting Broaddus and Zach Martin back today.
How confident are you in a bounce-back performance defensively?
Look, this is not an explosive offense at all that the Patriots have. So I think that this sets up pretty well for Dallas to have some success today. I think that this could be a low-scoring affair.
Yeah, that's my guess. What, you get to 20 points, you feel like if I say right now you can have 20 points?
I'll take it because I picked 19-10 on Friday. So
now, what is it defensively that I guess concerns you? Is it just them, Zeke and Ramondre Stevenson running the ball on you? Is that the way that and the tight ends? I know Broaddus has mentioned these tight ends will get you a little bit.
The tight ends can get you a little bit. Honestly, it's more some of the stuff they do with their receivers. Demario Douglas, I think, could be a problem for them today. They did.
He had that fumble in the Dolphins
and
game.
He got sacked, but he was making plays early in that game before he fumbled.
He's their most electric guy.
He's the joystick guy. He's their version of Turpin.
That's Belichick. He's just like, oh, you fumbled, you're done.
But, they do some stuff with the orbit motion, which is what we saw a little bit of from Arizona times. Arizona lined up receivers in the backfield. Belichick and Bill O'Brien have shown that they're willing to do some of that with Douglas and Juju Smith-Schuster. And so I guess the way Rondale Moore beat you last week, I would be concerned that they might be able to have some of that same success with Demario Douglas and do things like that.
Dude, when you look at the defensively, to me, watching the biggest problems they had were guys trying to play hero ball, overrunning plays and overrunning, instead of playing gaps.
Yeah, look at two of the big runs that they got gashed for. Dobbs around the left end. That was
Wilson
Micah Parsons
goes flying down inside.
Yeah, and Micah Parsons just flew upfield, missed it, and then couldn't recover. And then the Rondale Moore play, that was, it was Marquise Bell getting blocked, but it was also Sam Williams getting wide and getting upfield and blowing by. And so that's what you got to watch out for, is just the over-eagerness and the aggressiveness getting too far upfield.
What's the plan for them to just try and take out Micah? Is everybody just saying, hey, let's run at him and see what happens there?
I think running at him is one way that teams want to do it, but I also think they want to take advantage of his aggressiveness. So it may be read options, it may be draw plays, like let him get upfield and then run the ball and get past him. And so, look, if you're going to run directly at Micah, that's not going to end well for you all the time because he is so athletic and he can make plays. But I think take advantage of his aggressiveness, let him get upfield a little bit. That would be what I would imagine New England would want to accomplish today.
How emotional are you going to be, Bobby, when Zeke runs out of that tunnel and they do something exciting?
No doubt the longest run of the day for him, I would guess, coming out of that tunnel.
That's like 10 or 12 yards.
They've already tweeted a video. They tweeted a video. The Cowboys did a tribute video, and it was very emotional. I'm interested to see the Jerry Zeke hug and the Dak Zeke hug that we're undoubtedly going to get.
The Cowboys, if they were smart, they would put those 4 kettles in the end zone.
Oh, just for today?
And if Zeke scores, somehow he jumps in the kettle and you get a free 15 yards. for unsportsmanlike conduct.
It's a setup.
It's a setup. Yeah, you're tempting Zeke to jump in the kettle.
And one of the Jones family's
He can jump in the kettle only one time, though. That's the only – because we don't need him multiple times.
One of the Jones family's
He's got
partners.
one more good jump left in him.
One of the Jones family's favorite partners, the Salvation Army, too. You get some free pub for them.
Yeah.
It's great. That would be Zeke's first touchdown as a Patriot, by the way. And, of course, it would come on this AT&T Stadium turf.
And it's going to be one of these goal line plays that everybody's talking about, how the Cowboys miss him so much right now. Is Lipke the solution, by the way?
I love Hunter Lipke.
I like Lipke as a single
and I'll
back.
tell you what, the thing about Hunter Lipke, I'm not totally sold on him as a blocker, but, yeah, you put him in the single back or hand him the ball, he has a feel for how to get you 1 yard, get you 2 yards. Heck, if stack box 1 yard run turns into a 9 yard run. Hunter Lipke can get it done down there. He really can. He has a feel for that stuff.
He does. And I like what Dowdle did last week. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this offense performs today. It's going to be a tough challenge versus this Patriots defense. Bobby, you're a beast. Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you in the press box, sir.
I love you all.
Love you more. There he goes, Cowboys insider Bobby Belt. We're absolutely loaded here on the official pregame show of America's Team. We'll get to J-Ron Curse in just a moment. Fox TV's Aaron Andrews live from the field inside of AT&T Stadium coming up in just a few minutes as well. But let's first go ahead and pause 10 seconds for station identification right here in your home of the Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan.
This is the exclusive home of Dallas Cowboys football. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas, Fort Worth. Let's go, Cowboys.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The gates have opened, and now the doors have officially opened to AT&T Stadium as well. The Miller Lite West Plaza is where the party is at. Come say hello to us, and let's hear from J-Ron Curse, today's player profile, with the three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold. Take it away, sir.
J-Ron Curse, it's time to regroup. I guess you got the New England Patriots, you got Zeke on the other side, but let's talk about the aberration, which was the Arizona Cardinals. How do y'all handle that?
We just move forward.
Right.
Move forward to the next week and understand that, the things we did 2 weeks prior to that is who we really are. And, we got an opportunity to go out there and show the world.
Was it the running attack that they were just running at y'all and doing RPOs and things like that? Was that the deal, or was it y'all just for some reason were off? You just feeling off?
Nah, it was all us. Everything that went on in that game was us. A lot of individuals that didn't play up to our standard, and myself included. But it's just all about getting back to what we know we're about.
DQ football on the defensive side. You guys have been playing so well. You got the depth. Can you talk about the fact that you got so much depth, especially in the secondary? DQ got safeties playing linebackers. You got the green dot. You got Dono back the whole 9 yards.
It's time for us to go out there and show exactly who we are. We have a very deep group on that back end, and we didn't play up to our standard on that back end this past week. We didn't get any turnovers. We didn't touch the ball a lot. That's just not like us, since we've been together these past 2 years. And, we got to go out there and show that we're the best in the nation when it comes to getting our hands on that ball.
Well, let's talk about this game this afternoon. You got the New England Patriots here, but more importantly, it's the return of Zeke Elliott. Everybody loves Zeke. What's it going to be like for you to go up against him in the game as opposed to practice?
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Zeke actually just texted me the other day. It's gonna be fun, man. I know he's looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to just seeing him again. Miss him in his locker room and just his presence of being around him, being the guy that Zeke is. So it's gonna be a lot of good hits. A lot
right.
I know he's excited for it, just like we're excited for it.
It's like big brother, little brother. Got to show you what you got, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. Zeke's been here a while, did a lot of great things, and he's on the other side now.
Okay, so give me a quick scouting report to New England Patriots.
A ground and pound running game. Can do a lot. Got a quarterback in Mac Jones that can throw the ball, puts the ball in the air deep, and lets his guys go up and try to make some plays. And that's just what you get from him.
And finally, how do you prepare for this game? Do you listen to a certain kind of music? Do you have a superstition? Do you eat a certain kind of food on a home game?
I just go out and be me. It doesn't really matter the music. I just go out and be me. Just get back to the basics and do the things that I know I need to do.
J-Ron Curse, appreciate you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And that is today's player profile with Chris Arnold. J-Ron Curse looking for a bounce-back performance. The entire defense is. And they're going to have a good opportunity today versus a Patriots offense that is a bit limited, but a Patriots offense that wants to run at you, and they're going to test this run defense for sure. What is the red zone offense still a bigger concern for you, Broaddus, or is it the run defense?
I think there's things that I've seen with the red zone offense that I can live with. I can't live with the receivers not finding space or tight ends finding space, much like Dalton Schultz used to, or even a Des Bryant or Michael, or some, receivers, tight ends, they always found space down there. Jason Witten down in that red zone area. We just haven't seen that in the first 3 games. I think there's some things that fundamentally that they've had problems with. I mentioned missed blocks, penalties, stuff like that. The run defense is something that you can't hide from. It's if somebody feels like that they could take advantage, and there's not a lot of advantages offensively the Patriots have.
Yeah.
But one of them they do have is the physicality with which they run the football with those 2 backs. So can you load up and stop? The Cowboys, against the Giants, it was like a opening series kind of thing against the Jets, non-existent for the Jets running the football.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it has to do, if the Cowboys find a way to put a lot of pressure offensively on New England, get some points, make Mac Jones have to throw the football, that's going to be the best path to playing run defense here. Take them out of that. They're going to have to throw to get back in games. Teams have got up on the Patriots and made them have to play that way.
Yeah.
Have to rally.
Both their losses.
Yeah. If New England is balanced, then they're a much, much better football team. They just don't have the explosive players, so they want to be able to kind of control the game the best they can with their running game, if they can.
It's the official pregame show of the Dallas Cowboys, and coming up next, very excited, we have Fox Television's Erin Andrews. She'll be on the call today with Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olsen, and she joins us next live from AT&T Stadium right here on The Fan.
Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammond on inspiration.
I hope it's an inspiration to girls out there, being the first woman to coach an NBA team. But I've always been more inspired by the future, not by what I've done, but by what's coming next.
What do you want to do next? Whether it's buying a home, growing your
UTA will set you on the path to something great.
Find your place at the University of Texas at Arlington and tap into the Maverick Factor. Discover more. UTA.edu.
You've just created excitement everywhere you go. Jackson State, you go 27-6, back-to-back conference championships. Attendance goes through the roof. What are you most proud of what you were able to accomplish there?
We brought the light. We hit the switch. Everything was dark. It was gloomy. These guys deserve it. Give them some shine, man. Now it's on everyone else to keep their light on.
How do you turn on the light here?
We did it. It came with us.
I'll leave you with this. Colorado used to be a powerhouse back in the day. Yeah. Do you believe you can bring them back?
Do I believe? I know. But it's just another level. I can't wait to get there. Like, I can't wait to that moment because I know what we coming with. Baby, you best believe it's a new day. Well, they don't believe, and that's just what we want. We couldn't have written this thing any better. This is gonna be a movie one day. We are coming.
The pregame party continues with a very special guest, Fox Television's Erin Andrews. Erin, you sat down with Prime just a few weeks ago. Thank you so much for your time today. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was awesome. We had a great couple of weeks, actually. We did Prime, and then I flew to New York and sat with Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately, literally 6 days before he blew up his Achilles. So we had a good run until that. But, yeah, the Prime effect, the Prime experience, shoot, it reminds me of our game that we had in Kansas City last week with Taylor Swift showing up. It's like those two, they're just gold. They're magic. I know Dion and crew want to turn it around after losing yesterday, but, hey, it's early. But they coming.
Yes, they are. They made it a game yesterday. It was very, very nice to see. So it has been what a jam-packed start to the season for you. I mean, you get the Prime stuff. That's the sports headliner going into the season.
Oh yeah.
And then the Aaron Rodgers situation, and then you're on hand for the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce bonanza in Kansas City.
What's
your
happen
one
today
seed?
Here? What's going to happen here? Anything?
Yeah, that's
what
right.
Do we got?
Well, we got the big Zeke return. I mean, is that the headline for this game for you, Aaron, who's been doing all the work coming into this
21-7. Holy cow, Sean. All right. Sorry, yes, Zeke returning. I'm looking around for the Salvation Army kettles. They're not around. I'm excited about this. I was trying to figure out what my first hit was going to be on Dallas's sideline, and I, was thinking a little bit about what Dak had told me, what Dan Quinn as he's walking by right now. But I think it comes down to, obviously, humbled and pissed is what Dak said for the offense. And Dan Quinn, they're trying to figure out, how to get their guys back and stopping the run. And they're doing it against a familiar face. So, yeah, I think that's my first hit. Right, guys?
That's got to be right there. Aaron, it's a huge game because you're in town, no doubt about that. So. But I was going to ask you, when you do these sit-downs with coaches, like a guy like Belichick, or
he was awesome this week.
That's what I was going to ask you because
this week.
Yeah, because I could just see you bringing out the best of somebody when you interview them.
Oh, it has nothing to do with me.
Well, no,
I was very fortunate to
we
work
always
with.
See him. Yeah, we always see him like standing up there and being very, mumbly and this and that. But I guarantee you got some nuggets out of him this week.
Right. Well, I'll give my teammates credit because it has nothing to do with me. Coach Belichick has always been wonderful off the field. Not that he isn't great on the field, but he has a job to do. And that's something I talked a lot to my husband about, who played in the NHL for so many years and under a guy named Darryl Sutter, who a lot of people, his press conferences are epic in the NHL world, very short, to the point, can embarrass you if you don't ask the correct question. And I remember one time after a halftime with Coach Belichick, I just texted my husband. I was like, he hates me. He freaking hates me. And my husband's like, he doesn't give a crap about these interviews. He wants to close this game out. Don't take it personally. Do your job. Shut up. No, he didn't say that. But it's true. They're not thinking about our stuff, our questions. We're essentially in the way. We're doing our best to get information. But we did the Super Bowl in Houston, Atlanta against the Patriots, and that was the first time I'd really had sat down with Coach Belichick, with Troy and Joe, and he was unbelievable. And even this week, it's the first time I've had a Patriots game with Greg Olsen, and Coach Belichick's, one of the smartest guys in the NFL, and I think he really, really enjoyed listening to Greg's questioning, and Greg's like, I don't want to keep you, and Coach Belichick said, no, Greg, I got a ton of time, and Kevin Burkhardt and I were side texting him saying, keep asking, like, he's into this is great. He was awesome this week.
Oh, that's wonderful. Fox TV's own Aaron Andrews with us here on the official pregame show of the Dallas Cowboys. Seems like you guys have so much fun between you and Burkhardt and Olsen, and he gets on your podcast, and you guys, it seems like you guys are just having a blast together.
Yeah, it was a big adjustment at first last year when, Joe and Troy left to go to ESPN, and Kevin, I had a relationship. I worked with him and John Lynch for a couple years, and Greg, I obviously covered him quite a bit. He was one of my go-tos during pregame to talk to. We have the best time. Our crew dinners are like epic. Olsen eats like you would expect a tight end to eat. We, get 50 appetizers. Drinks are going. It's a time. So, it's one of our favorite things to do is just hang out, our side text during meetings with players and coaches and throughout the week. And we had Olsen come on our podcast, Calm Down podcast with Aaron and Carissa. You guys can check it out, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And I want to get Micah Parsons. Carissa just hit me up and said, Micah's got a podcast. I've listened to it. She's like, we got to get him on. He gets it. It'd be awesome. Who's his booking agent? Do we know?
I think he does his own stuff.
I got to ask him. Maybe in between snaps or something.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, because I've seen your podcast. How much fun do you have doing that? It just seems like, it's work and stuff, but you guys have so much fun when you listen to it. It just comes through the broadcast in that part.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm lucky if I get 15 seconds, in between the ball getting snapped or maybe, a break here and there to get a sideline report. You obviously don't have much time to get any sort of personality in and out of stories on the sideline. So it's good. My husband's like, could you stop dropping the F-bombs? But I get so excited and so they come out. But yeah, we just talk about our adventures in traveling, what it's like, sideline reporting. I got a couple doozies to tell Carissa about this game tomorrow. And I gotta figure out how to get Micah on. We gotta get this done.
Oh, you could do it. I think if you just go up and ask him, I think he would. You get a win today, just saddle up to him. I think
that's
he'll do it
true.
for you.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
You'd be nice and happy, but you're right. His podcast is really, really good.
Yeah.
Covers a lot of ground too.
He really turns it on. We get to sit down with him at training camp.
Yeah. I loved his take on Taylor Swift. I loved it. I thought it was cool. I'm all in on this. Chris and I said the other day, we want them to get married. I want this to go the distance. I feel like it's like American royalty. I love it. I love everything about it. I just had a chicken fingers big metal case rolled into our green room here at AT&T, and I was like, oh my God, it's Taylor Swift in the green room, but it's not, obviously. It's just chicken fingers. I had 5 of them.
Well, where do you rate the chicken finger then as a meal? Where are you a chicken finger person?
I'm not normally, but I feel like, on a Sunday with obviously, football, I had breakfast really early this morning. I don't know why. I just crushed 5, probably have 6 of them in a bit, but it was delicious. So yeah, that's it. That's like my meal for the next 5-6 hours. So
did you go with the ranch and the ketchup? Did you feel obligated?
Okay. Sorry, I'm telling Dan Quinn I want to talk to him. What's that?
Oh, I was wondering if you felt
I'd go talk to
obligated.
Dan too if I were you. Yeah.
The obligation of with the chicken tender now, everybody's got to go with the ranch and the ketchup the same way Taylor Swift was doing last week.
Love it. I'm just dying. We have a female apparel line, Wear, and I'm just like, well, let's see if the universe loves me. I'd love her to be wearing, a Kansas City Wear ensemble tonight in that box at MetLife, but we'll see.
No, your gear.
The odds
your
are stacked
is
against
great.
me.
No,
Thank
it is
you.
because,
it's really cute.
No, I know because I have a friend who was a Raiders fan, and that when you start to look at, there's just not a lot for women, and you've done a great job with your line of respectable looking, classy looking stuff. So keep doing the great work.
Yeah, and it's really super comfortable and it's fashionable. You guys don't have to wear it, on Sundays or Thursdays or Monday nights. You can wear it any day of the week. Swifties, if you're out there and you want to wear what your girl wears, check our stuff out. So yeah.
It's Aaron Andrews with us here on The Fan. So you're a new mom, you're a business owner, you're doing podcasts, you have your Fox duties. This has to be the busiest time of your career, I imagine.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm still trying to figure out how to manage it all. I'm not really that great about it. My husband was trying to be funny. He was leaving for a hockey game the other day. I was leaving to come out here, and he walked in my office with our son in his hands because I think my assistant was like, oh, she's on the phone with Mike McCarthy. And he's like, oh, he's a nice guy. And as my husband walked in, my baby started crying. I'm like, get out of here. Coach McCarthy doesn't give a crap about this. Does it help them in the red zone or with penalties? Get out of here.
Is that
well, there's a lot of crying with Cowboy fans about red zone.
No.
So your son was probably he probably knew the situation. Yeah.
My son
Very
has a
aware
Dak
son of yours.
Prescott onesie. My dad was super cute. He connected from somewhere to Dallas, and obviously I have a great relationship with Dak, covered him and Zeke since they were rookies. And my dad went into a Cowboy store and he was like, I just felt like we had to get this for Dak. So I sent it to him in camp, and I was like, look what my kid has. So super cute.
Circling back about Zeke, did you ever envision that you would see him in a uniform other than a Dallas Cowboy uniform?
No, I think that was something I never thought would happen. But listen, it's a business. I know that personally from my husband. You know that from working in the industry. In the end, it is a business. I know that Dak said that this would be an emotional game for him as well. You know, everybody knows their relationship. And I was saying to Dak, I have such great moments and memories of doing post games with both of them. That Green Bay game where they put Brett Favre's name in the Ring of Honor, and they went in there and they blew the pants off of the Green Bay Packers. It was unbelievable. We did the Pittsburgh game. You know, it was on obviously a Sunday, and it was getting late in the evening. And I remember maybe there was like 2-3 minutes left in the game, and the towels were going, and the Cowboys won that game. And I talked to those two after. It was freaking awesome. So no, I never thought that would happen. But at the same time, it like we said, it's a business, and anything can happen, right?
Right.
No question. My man right here, Bryan Broaddus, a Super Bowl champion in the NFL for a long time. He knows better than anybody. Aaron Andrews with us here on The Fan. So McCarthy, was that what it was, just hammering the red zone and the penalties, and we got to get this stuff cleaned up? Or,
you know, and
what other
I think the
takeaways?
fact that the tackles are, you know, Zach is coming back and Broaddus is coming back, and uncharacteristic all around, right? You know, and he had also mentioned the 2 games that you guys had played, situation with like the Giants game, that's rain. He was just, you know, trying to run the ball and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously, what was the other game where I forgot the last one. I should know this, but I get it mixed up. Where he said Jets. He wanted to get out of there before anyone got hurt. And then Arizona. You know, I don't think it was a situation where this team took them lightly, but you have one of those days, and that's what it was. And I can't imagine this Dan Quinn defense is going to come out and put out a performance like that. Again, I love guys like J-Ron Kersey. He's one of my favorites, and he just said, you know, I'm going to take this personal. I feel like a lot of it was me. Not a lot of guys were running to the ball. Like, they know what they have to do. Also, I don't think people really thought too much about what the Diggs loss. I don't mean on the field. I mean off the field. When you see one of your heart and souls of the defense go down, and it obviously wasn't Parsons, but it's Diggs, that's a big deal. That's their life. That's their career. They know how hard this guy's going to have to work to come back. And I think that may have been weighing on them, and it was in the back of their minds as well. So that's a lot. You know, that's human emotion. So I expect them to bounce back. The storyline with Zeke is such an interesting one. The storyline with Bill Belichick is such an interesting one. You know, he was in a great mood, like I said on our call, which always makes me think, what does he know that we don't know? Mike McCarthy, I think, what did he say? He's only matched up against him 6 times. He said Coach Belichick is so good in terms of flipping the script. He finds your weaknesses and he exposes them. It's awesome. I love this stuff.
It's fantastic. Aaron Andrews, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron, thanks so much for the time. Enjoy the game.
All right, guys, thanks.
There she goes, Fox's own Aaron Andrews. She'll be all over the sidelines on the telecast today alongside Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson. And it's a Cowboy game day. It's big, it's good, and it's only for Cowboys fans. The Cowboys special from Papa John's, a large one-topping pizza for only $9.99. Order today. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. Bill Belichick in a good mood.
Yeah. Let's hope he walks out of here in a bad mood. That would make me feel a lot better.
I've seen one too many Patriots fans today. I still have that Belichick fear. When it comes to the defense, like you just know it's going to be a pretty close game. His team's not going to get blown out. They're a sound defense. They got some players. I'm looking forward to this entire matchup, and I'm looking forward even more so to breaking it down with Patriots play-by-play man Bob Socci. We go behind enemy lines as we continue to get you set for kickoff. Cowboys and Patriots right here on your home of the Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan.
Your Dallas Cowboys head west to take on the San Francisco 49ers in Week 5 of the 2020.
touchdown, Dallas.
Brought to you by Bill Nunnally, attorneys and counselors. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Jack Link's, feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Texaco. Texaco with Techron delivers unbeatable gas mileage. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. And by Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza.
Gesicki moves right to left. Jones with a play fake. And a throw down the right seam. It's caught by Farrell Brown. Racing to the 20, 15-10. Chased by Amos at 5. Stretching out to the pylon. A dive for a touchdown. Patriots!
It's time to go behind enemy lines with the voice of the Patriots, Bob Socci, here on your home of the Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan. Under 2 hours to kick. Bob, thank you so much for the time, sir. I'm wondering, in your time covering these Patriots the way you do, is this the worst group of pass catchers that they've had?
You say that coming out of a highlight with that grab by Farrell Brown.
That's a good point.
I don't know if it's the worst group, because back in 2013, for a period, Tom Brady was throwing to a group of receivers that included Kenbrell Tompkins, Aaron Dobson, Austin Collie. He did have Julian Edelman during Rob Gronkowski's absence that season, but I think collectively, that group, of course, was elevated because of Brady's greatness, and as well an offensive line that was far more intact than the offensive front for the Patriots this year. But as you mentioned, the receiving corps for the Patriots, not necessarily a strength, not a lot of separation, not a lot of protection for Jones to this point. Hasn't been sacked a lot because the ball's been coming out, but not a lot of strikes downfield. That's a 58-yard pass play, really schemed up exceptionally well by Bill O'Brien. It's the longest pass play by far for the Patriots. The other long play in excess of 20 yards was a 32-yard completion on a screen. It was more of a catch and run by Ramondre Stevens, and I think Mac Jones has thrown 16 passes of 20-plus air yards to this point and completed only 2 of them.
Wow. How much more? Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, and the big thing too for the team is that Juju Smith-Schuster, who was their primary free agent acquisition, hasn't been able to give them much. He doesn't look right physically, and in terms of his route running, that's been a big question mark. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You mentioned, scheming things up a little bit, and I'm curious. It has to be a completely different perspective now watching this Patriots offense with a legit NFL play caller and Bill O'Brien, as opposed to the 2 play caller senior defensive assistants guys from last year that were running the show.
Yeah, and you heard it and you saw it from the players from the first days of spring OTAs through training camp and to this stage of the season. And you could see it in their body language on the practice field. You could hear it in their words, of course, and see it as well. For Mac Jones especially, far more relaxed and a much more comfortable spot for him this year compared to last season. A year ago, the Patriots, varying from what had been really a pipeline, Charlie Weiss begat Josh McDaniels, who begat Bill O'Brien, who then, of course, was followed by McDaniels again. Belichick went away from that pipeline of people with the same philosophy, similar type of offense, and entrusted the offense prior to 2022 with Matt Patricia, former defensive coordinator for the Pats, and Joe Judge, longtime special teams coach for the Patriots. And it was a dysfunctional unit from day one of practices, and it really didn't improve throughout the season. Bill O'Brien comes back to New England. Certainly, I think the Patriots have returned to their roots offensively when you talk about a system that has worked so long for 2 decades plus under Belichick and those offensive coordinators that I mentioned. But as we also just touched on, the pieces aren't necessarily there in place for this unit to really function as efficiently as we would expect of the Patriots offense. They're a team that has scored 20 points or fewer in each of the first 3 games. If that happens again today, it's the first time since 2002.
Bob,
they've got 4 straight.
Yeah, when I watch your tape or sit down and look at it, I think a lot of the issues might be with the offensive line and the health of the offensive line. Has that been the one thing that you could point to maybe for some of the issues that they've had, that shuffling the tackles in and out, with the situation now with Cole Strange at guard? Is the health of the offensive line been something that set this New England offense back?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big part of it. You know, the offensive line did not practice together. None of the 5 expected starters for day one of the season throughout training camp or preseason, or really for the first week plus of the regular campaign. Trent Brown coming back at left tackle for the Patriots has been solid thus far this season, but he missed a game due to a concussion. David Andrews, the center, is the anchor of that unit, and he's been the one guy who's been a fixture from day one of training camp to this point of the season. But guards Cole Strange and Michael Wenu have been coming off injury. Strange is down again today with a recurring knee issue for him. The right tackle spot was occupied by Calvin Anderson, a free agent signee. He did not play well in either of the first 2 games. And Vidarian Lowe, who was a late pickup for the Patriots from the Vikings, has done fairly well at that spot. And I guess mentioning Lowe, along with Ty Wheatley, another player the Patriots got, last-minute shopping before the season began, underscores the problems they've had on the offensive line. They were still looking for offensive tackles coming out of the preseason, and their first 53-man roster included 11 offensive linemen. So there hasn't been continuity nor cohesiveness.
Patriots play-by-play man Bob Socci with us here on the Fan as we go behind enemy lines and get you set for Cowboys Patriots. What have your impressions been of Zeke?
Zeke's made a really solid impression from the first time he stepped out on the field for the Patriots at Green Bay in joint practices to this point. And I mean that really with his teammates. I think certainly with the fans, with the way he ran last week, and certainly for those of us covering him. He's a guy that we've watched from afar, star here in Dallas for so long, but reading about him and the players' comments from the Dallas perspective this week only reaffirms what we've experienced thus far in New England. The guy's been very pleasant, had a smile on his face. He's fit in and been a good teammate right from the outset. One of his teammates, Mac Wilson, more of a special teamer, backup linebacker, said the other day to Mike Reese from ESPN. It was a pleasant surprise to him how interactive Zeke has been with everybody in that locker room. And we saw last week 5 yards a carry, 80 yards overall rushing for him, something they've needed desperately. They haven't had a consistent ground game through the first 3 weeks. Ramondre Stevenson has gotten off to a disappointing start, but I think that goes back to the offensive line issues. And really, again, from day one in those joint practices, it's been that kind of effort from Elliott. He's brought a lot of energy, a lot of juice to the Patriots, I think, on and off the field.
Bob, the draft gods clearly smiled on you and your organization there with Christian Gonzalez. There's no way in heck that I even thought he was going to get down to New England, but what a heck of a pick for the Patriots. It seems like a very much of a no-brainer type of selection, but again, studying him on tape, he's just been outstanding for you guys.
Yeah, he really has. I chuckle a little bit because I think sports talk callers and hosts back in New England will tell you the draft gods have frowned on the Patriots too frequently in recent years. But Gonzalez,
well, he smiled on you on this one.
Yeah, he's I hate to use the term stud or a guy that's he's only
you
played
can
3
with
games.
him. Go ahead, feel free.
He really is. Very quiet. In fact, Belichick even likened him to Stephon Gilmore in terms of his temperament. A guy that doesn't talk a whole lot on the field or off the field, but just goes out there, and you can entrust him to, line up man-to-man against some of the better receivers. We've already seen him now, not necessarily exclusively, but with some help, do very well against A.J. Brown and Tyreek Hill. And last week, albeit a compromised offense with Zach Wilson at quarterback for the Jets, against Garrett Wilson. And I'll take Tyreek Hill's words for it. He said he's very good, very lengthy, fast, certainly covers extremely well, and that's been borne out on the tape as well in all 3 games. A very mature guy. The question, I guess, coming out of Oregon for some, based on what I read and heard at the time of the draft when he fell to the Patriots at 17, was a concern about physicality or a lack thereof. And it was interesting, the first preseason game, he was tested immediately by Houston, and Nico Collins lowered his shoulder into the chest of Christian Gonzalez and drove him back several yards. Well, Gonzalez answered that call, and he's been very physical for the Pats since then. He got a sack early on this season, had an interception as well that gave the Patriots a chance to try to mount a rally against the Dolphins, and he's been a physical cornerback for them, and he's been able to blanket the receivers he's been assigned to thus far.
Yeah, I believe they call him the silent assassin over there in Foxborough, Bob. He's been a stud. Do you expect him to follow around CeeDee Lamb quite a bit today?
One would expect that's going to be primarily the matchup. they've got two cornerbacks that were expected to play a lot this season who are down. One of them is Jonathan Jones, who's been a mainstay in the secondary, really the better part of the last 7-8 years for the Pats. And Jack Jones is a player that was ensconced in some legal trouble during the offseason and then had those issues resolved, but then hurt his hamstring before the season opener. And he's a kid who last year flashed for them as a rookie. Picked off Aaron Rodgers with a pick 6 at Green Bay. And so the other cornerback spot, for the most part, has been kind of a rotation of guys when we talk about the outside cornerback position for the Patriots. Now last week, again, versus an inept offense, they had Miles Bryant playing a lot up there. He's a very small defender, very short. And he's a guy who's more of a hybrid safety corner for the Patriots. They'll mix coverages. They'll try to do a lot of different things on the back end, as they always do. But I think the one thing we can look to today with some degree of certainty is Christian Gonzalez having the primary assignment on CeeDee Lamb.
Bob, for the Patriots, what is the path to victory today? They don't score a lot of points. They play really well on defense. Do you have a game plan in your mind as you walk into this one? What's going to have to happen for you?
Well, despite J-Ron Kearse's warning, I think the Patriots are going to at least try to run the ball today and take a page out of the Cardinals' playbook. They don't have necessarily the game breakers, as we've discussed, the speed that Arizona showed last week on those 2 long runs. But I think the Patriots have got to try to come out and establish the running game. Certainly, the one thing about New England with the offensive line problems, you've got to protect against a defense that exerts a lot of pressure, and in particular, the defensive player of the month. So it starts right there. And I don't know if they can force Dak into any mistakes. They lost the turnover battle the first couple of weeks. You guys know the correlation as well, if not better than I do, between that and victory, especially when you're playing in close games. Their MO thus far, with exception of last week, has been fall behind, then rally, and then fall short. I think today the running game has to lead the way for them. No mystery there, no original thought for the Patriots to have a chance to come in here, try to take the Cowboys down on a bounce-back week for Dallas.
Patriots play-by-play man Bob Socci with us here on The Fan. I still fear Bill Belichick in a huge way, especially with the way he runs his defense, and I'm not optimistic about the way the Cowboys will go about that Belichick defense today. But it seems like we hear down here in Dallas, locally up there, it's like Belichick everybody's after him a little bit. How much longer do you expect him to be there?
Well, it has become increasingly, I think, a relevant topic based on the struggles of the teams. In the words of the owner, Robert Kraft, particularly the last 2 owners' meetings in the spring, last year discussed his disappointment in not winning a playoff game in 3 years, and then they didn't make the playoffs in 2022, and they started 0-2 this year. And I think last week truly was a huge game for him. It's the first time that we've actually seen columns written about Bill Belichick's future going into a game, and the significance of coming out with a victory against the Jets and avoiding an 0-3 start. And I don't think it was hyperbole, based on, again, the words of the owner. But here's the thing. I think, with Bill, you can call into question some of the personnel decisions, some of the draft choices of late. We've talked about a lack of speed. A year ago, they drafted the fastest receiver in the draft in 2022, kid out of Baylor, Tyquan Thornton. They just can't get on the field. They drafted the fastest running back out of South Dakota State, Pierre Strong, at the Combine, and he's now playing with the Cleveland Browns. So, they haven't been able to build consistent, quality draft classes, and they've made some questionable signings, and already the Juju Smith-Schuster signing is coming under a lot of criticism and extreme scrutiny. So I think for the Patriots, they're going to be competitive. They're still well coached. Now, they have made mistakes in games uncharacteristic compared to Bill's past. 4 block punts the previous 2 seasons going into this year. 3 kickoff returns allowed for touchdowns last year. Some procedural mistakes, some timeouts taken because they had to avoid a 12th defender on the field, etc. They've cut down on those things thus far this season, but they flare up every now and then. And we know he's only 18 wins away from tying Don Shula, or 17 now, of course, from tying Don Shula after last week. He's on the verge of a 300th regular season win. I think Robert Kraft, the Kraft family, would love to see Bill Belichick break that record as the head coach of the New England Patriots. And I think the team will be competitive enough this season to allow him to do that.
Now, Bob, my guy next to me here, Brian Broaddus, he's a Super Bowl champion. Now, I never get to see a Super Bowl ring. I think he just sort of hides it from us. How often do you, Bob Socci, bust out the Super Bowl rings?
Well, I hope, I think they're still in a safe deposit box at a bank down the street. I went along for the ride. I was fortunate enough. This is my 11th season, which is why I marvel at the sign outside of this broadcast booth, the Brad Sham broadcast booth. Fitting tribute to one of the greats, one of the really nice people that I've gotten a chance to meet in the NFL. I was lucky. 11 years ago, I came on board in the middle of the Tom Brady era, between 3 championships for one generation of Pats and the next 3. And the Crafts were kind enough to give me a championship ring after each of those games. But I don't flash it around. Maybe bring it out now and then. If there's a relative that's visiting that wants to see it, maybe a charity event, we'll bring it out and ask people to take pictures with it for a donation, something to that effect. But I haven't seen them in a long time, and I'm a little worried now that you bring it up.
Well, Bob, this has been a real treat for us. My one last question for you. I'm doing this with all the play-by-play guys that we get to chat with each week. Our guy Brad Sham, you mentioned him. He's a legend.
Yeah.
He gets the works at halftime. We know Al Michaels is a steak and shrimp guy at halftime in the booth. Brad Sham will get that sushi rolling in. Okay, you peek over there at halftime, Bob. I believe you not. You will see the most beautiful sushi you've ever seen waiting for Brad Sham there in his booth. You could probably go sneak a couple, to be quite honest with you, Bob. Last week, Dave Pash, voice of the Cardinals, told us he gets maybe a bag of Doritos and maybe a hot dog. He was blown away at the sushi spread for Brad Sham. Bob, when you're at home, when you're at Gillette Stadium, do you get the works? What are you eating? What are you eating in the booth at halftime?
That's when you know you've made it. As opposed to in Foxborough, it's the same thing. It's pre-made wraps, maybe some clam chowder that they pour. I shouldn't divulge this, but comes poured out of a bag. I bring an energy bar for halftime. The Brad Sham treatment. That's what all of us should aspire to. But he's earned that sushi, and I appreciate the tip. I'm going to come next door today at halftime.
Yeah, man, go sneak a little bit. My guy Broaddus will be there too, shoveling sushi into his face at halftime as well.
Bob, it'll be like me, like Wes Unseld under the boards in the sushi. I'll be elbows out. So if you're gonna have to play with some inside game if you want to get some sushi for me.
Bob, this has been a real treat, my friend. Thank you so much for the time, sir, and enjoy the game.
Eric, Bryan, guys, thanks so much. Really enjoyed it.
Take care, sir.
Likewise, there he goes. Voice of the Patriots, Bob Socci there as we go behind enemy lines on the official pregame show of America's team. Brought to you by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It is Miller time. The Miller is a-flowing here in the Miller Lite West Plaza of AT&T Stadium. The party's rocking. Gates are open. Doors are open. Cannot wait to see if you're getting out to the game today. We have a legendary food item from the folks at Legends Hospitality that we need to tell you about. Absolutely delicious. We'll get to that coming up. Plus, as we inch closer and closer to kickoff, let's welcome in Babe Laufenberg right here on The Fan.
Bell Nunnally has been committed to serving their clients for more than 4 decades. This Dallas-based full-service law
Go, Cowboys.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Let's catch up with Babe Laufenberg right here on the official pregame show of America's team live at AT&T Stadium, getting you set for Cowboys and the Patriots. Zeke returns. They got the dirtiest quarterback in the league, right? Mac Jones is the one pro tip for Micah today to make sure he's wearing that cup. I don't know if he always wears a cup, but he might want to today.
I don't think many professional football players wear cups.
But when you're playing Mac Jones, I think
you got to be aware around Mac Jones in the scrum.
Sauce Gardner probably should have wore a cup last week.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the only advice I got for you, Micah. Otherwise, you do your thing, my friend, and you go get all the sacks today. We look forward to seeing this defense bounce back in a huge way. But let's take a look at this offense, especially now that we got Babe Laufenberg joining us. Babe, how are you doing on this Cowboy game day? And what did you think of the offense last week? Without the offensive line, it gets a little bit better today with Martin and Broaddus back. But what did you see last week?
Well, I got to get to the cup discussion because it just brought back memories there. So we will get to the offense in a moment. But I always wondered, in baseball, I played baseball. A lot of people play baseball. You always wore a cup. You wouldn't think of leaving home without it, right? It was like the American Express card. But in football, you never wore one. And let me just tell you, there was a time or two when I have said, darn, I should have worn a cup today.
Dave, let me ask you a question though. Let me ask you a question about this though.
You never feel bad if you had the cup and you didn't need it. But my dear God, when you forget that thing and you find yourself needing it, that's a precarious position.
I want to ask Babe a question since you. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Since you brought this up, need it than to need it and not have it.
Yeah. Since you brought this up, you and I played about the same era of football. You collegiately but you in the pros, of course. But we played an era where the shorts were really short. So what did you do in those days where you had to go under center? Was that you know what I'm saying? Those were kind of like probably rough days for quarterbacks, right? Hand towel
they were
used quite a bit then?
Yeah, they were.
Kind of a sweaty two-a-day practice.
Yep.
Yeah. That bring back some bad memories there, babe.
There were times when you say, can't we go shotgun?
Please.
You can't run that counter tray out of shotgun, babe. I'm telling you. You can't do that. We need the motion, the fake, the step. We need all that. So, you got to put the hands underneath there in that, the 1980s shorts that we wore.
No kidding. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, Babe, speaking of centers, we get ours back. We get ours back today. Yeah. You get Broaddus, you get Martin. No Tyron Smith. They run out there with Adoga. What's the confidence in this offensive line that they can hold up and try and push the ball down the field maybe a little bit more than last week?
Well, certainly better. Obviously, you're missing 3 guys last week. You're going to miss 1 today in Tyron Smith. And I do think when you look at this offense, and I always think you kind of go 4 games into a season, and you have a little bit of a handle on what you've got, offensively, defensively, whatever the case may be. But this year, to me, is very strange because 2 of the first 3 games you were compromised offensively. The first one being the weather in New York, and the fact that you were up 14-0 before the offense even took the field, right? So I think that changed that game plan just a bit. And then against Arizona, obviously being out 3 offensive linemen, you can't run the same types of things that you were going to do down the field going into that game. The other part is, I think by the time you played 4 games, you've been on the road, you've been at home, you played good teams, you played bad teams, blah, blah, blah. Cowboys won't see a good team until San Francisco. The Giants are not a good team.
Right.
The Jets are not a good team.
Right.
Arizona, let's see what they become, but that really was not a good team. This New England team is not a good team. They got a very good defense, but they cannot score. Matter of fact, here's a quick one for you. Since 2021, and I believe Tom Brady left in 20, when they allow 25 points, they're 0-12. So you get to 25 points today, and the game's over. And I think the Cowboys should get to 25.
Jeez, that's a dang good nugget right there, babe. You did your homework, sir.
Well, I try to. And the strange thing to me here, and trust me, the old saying, Bill Belichick knows more football than or has forgot more football, than I know. But you look at last year, and he said, okay, our offensive coordinators are going to be Joe Judge, a special teams coach, and Matt Patricia, a defensive coordinator. And it did not work. So defensively, they were good last year. They were very good last year. They were second to the Cowboys in takeaways. I can give you all sorts of good numbers. offensively, they had no juice. So what do in the draft? Their first 3 picks are defensive players. And then you come into the season and you wonder, gosh, why isn't this offense any good? Well, maybe you've neglected it for the last 2 years. And let's face it, Tom Brady was a great deodorant for this football team for 20 years.
Babe, I know one great player they do have on defense, and you mentioned the ones that they were drafting. This Christian Gonzalez, and I know he's probably shown up on tape for you when you're watching him play. To me, that's a guy that's going to travel with your best guy. I know 60%. Yeah, some of this, I was just trying to fight through it. You know,
I thought somebody didn't wear their. I thought it sounded like somebody didn't wear their cup out there. That's what I.
Yeah, he was. That was a Daniel Jones.
He was double fisting.
Mac Jones, not Daniel Jones, other Jones.
I got you.
But when I watch this Patriot defense, I think the thing with Christian Gonzalez is the one guy that I'm really going to keep my eye on, because I think he's the one guy that, if they have the ability to take, say, CeeDee Lamb out of this game, it's going to be because of Christian Gonzalez. Did you notice him when you were watching these guys play?
I did, and I looked at him coming out, and obviously long. He kind of, I don't want to say he fell to 17, because 17 is a pretty damn high draft pick. But they are playing a lot more zone. Bill Belichick obviously loves the man-to-man, allows you to do things with your front 7. They're in a lot more zone, and they're just compromised at corner. And it sounds like I have a stuttering problem, and I may, but Jonathan Jones, he's not playing today, corner.
Right.
Marcus Jones was on IR. Jack Jones is on IR. Those are all corners. And when I looked at the All-22 of the Miami game and the Jets game, and they really did not travel Christian Gonzalez with anyone. They weren't going to leave him on Tyreek Hill one-on-one. They played a lot of umbrella coverage, kept everything in front, obviously held Miami to 24 points in that football game, which the Denver Broncos found out maybe that was the way to play that team. But they are playing a lot more zone. They don't kind of look like that same Bill Belichick defense, and in large part because of the corners. They just, again, they're depleted. They have Christian Gonzalez, the rookie, at the one corner. The other part is, people always say, have him travel. It really disrupts you defensively. You have to have a veteran defense to understand. If my corner goes here with CeeDee Lamb, for instance, the other guys in the secondary and linebackers have to all adjust to that, and it can be difficult. The other way to break that up, you put that guy in the slot where CD works a lot out of. Again, much more difficult to say, okay, Christian Gonzalez, wherever 88 goes, you go. Because when he goes in the slot, without getting real technical, it just disrupts a lot of what you do defensively.
Babe Laufenberg with us here on The Fan. Of the concerns that have come out of the first few weeks, and especially last week, what's concerning you most? Is it the red zone offense or the run defense that was on display last week?
Well, we heard Mike McCarthy this week talk about the 3 blinking lights, and one of them was red zone, one of them was run defense. The shame is they did, unlike the Patriots, who did not address their offensive problems right through the draft, the Cowboys thought they were addressing a defensive issue through the draft, taking Mozzie Smith in the first round, and he was strictly a run defender, basically. And I don't want to be unkind here, but he has not been good. He's been less than good. So the guy that you got to shore up your weakness, he's just a non-factor. He has not been good. They don't play him much. They don't play him much for a reason. It's not like they have Aaron Donald in there or Jerron Payne, and boy, you just can't get him any playing time. He hasn't played well, so he hasn't played, period. The red zone is an issue. I have seen some things. I won't get into great detail. I think schematically, I haven't liked some of the play calls. They had CeeDee Lamb one-on-one last week on that fade with a 6th-round rookie DB, and it was a poor route. Dak was late getting the ball up to Michael Gallup on the fade. So there's just been a number of those things that have hampered him in the red zone. Now, I don't see that continuing all season long. All of a sudden, you're 2 for 6 in one game, and the next week you go 4 for 5. So I do see that balancing out a little bit over the course of the season.
But
they have not been good. That's not a revelation.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, in terms of trying to get more explosive plays on the field, are you looking at Cooks Would you like to see? We've gotten so many texts today on the show about like seeing more Deuce Vaughn. So I don't know, just your thoughts on the offense and trying to get maybe a little bit more explosive.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay there in terms of I know when the guy doesn't get the ball, and we saw it with Michael Gallup, right? Where's Gallup? Well, last week they got him 6 times for 92 yards, and that just happens. All 3 receivers aren't going to end up with 10 catches for 100 and some yards at the end of the game. I do think Brandon Cooks is ready to have that type of game where he has a 5-6 catch, 100-yard game. He's too good of a receiver. Some guys, they just don't have the ability. So you're saying, hey, why don't they get this guy involved? It's, because he's really not that good. But Brandon Cooks is not that guy. So I don't know if it's today. I don't know if it's in San Francisco next week. But very shortly, Brandon Cooks is going to get the football, and he's going to do some good things with it.
No question about it. Babe Laufenberg, ladies and gentlemen. Babe, thanks for the time as always, man. Enjoy the game.
Okay, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. There he goes. Today's game between the New England Patriots and the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium is brought to you by Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the official grocer of the Dallas Cowboys. And if you're making your way out to AT&T Stadium today, make sure you swing through the Miller Lite West Plaza, party with us for a few moments before you head in there. Gates and doors have opened, and we inch closer and closer to kickoff. When you walk in this building, I think the first thing you should do is go take advantage of the lineman burrito that will be here for today's game. It's special from Legends Hospitality, 17-inch flour tortilla. It's filled with famous Cowboys mac and cheese, delightful. In-house smoked brisket, unbeatable. Jalapeno pepper jack sausage, hello. Pico de gallo, house-made candied jalapenos. It is an absolute home run burrito, and you can get it at the Papa John stands in the main course, sections 201, 226, upper concourse sections 413, 444 as well. And as well, new for the 2023 season here at AT&T Stadium, 2 beers that were created by Granbury, Texas-based Revolver Brewery in collaboration with the Dallas Cowboys executives, front office, and their spouses. The Let's Go Girls beer will be available for the first time on today's game, AT&T Stadium. So you can get your taste on that. Let's Go Girls beer and the Gridiron Blonde Ale as well, courtesy of Revolver Brewing. So getting it done in a huge way, the eats, the drinks, and hopefully the victories are all going down here at AT&T Stadium.
You know what? It's funny. This is the first time this has ever happened to me in a game where I've been working. I was thirsty. I was so thirsty I took a swig of the Gridiron.
Look at you! Look at you!
I was
American
thirsty.
Ale.
I didn't have any water, and I'll tell you what, it's a damn good beer. It is a damn good beer. That
Revolver, always bringing it strong. Dim Berries. I'm a big Dim Berries
guy.
Go.
Yep.
And this will not be my first occasion drinking here on the air, but it's an honor to be here for your first.
I was struggling there for a minute. I needed to do something.
All right, let's get the scoop with Christy Scales, Cowboys sideline reporter. We go inside of AT&T Stadium as we inch closer and closer to kickoff. Cowboys and Patriots. We get the scoop from Christy next right here on The Fan.
It's big. It's good. on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Brought to you by Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Texaco. Texaco with Techron delivers unbeatable gas mileage. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. Arrow Exterminators, official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com.
Just over an hour to kick off Cowboys Patriots. Let's go inside of AT&T Stadium and get the scoop from our lady, Christy Scales. She is the Cowboys sideline reporter, always bringing the information. Christy, happy game day to you. It's a Zeke return Cowboy game day. Jerry hinted at some pregame surprises. What do you know about that?
Yeah, it's going to be very cool. This is only the second time since we've been here at AT&T Stadium that the Cowboys have honored an active player who's come back and in uniform, suited up for another team, DeMarcus Ware, when he was with the Broncos. But what they're doing for Zeke today, it's a video tribute, and they want to make sure that Zeke is on the sideline to see it. And so they're actually doing it right after the national anthem and before the coin toss. And of course, most of the crowd will be in their seats by that time, but it's maybe about a minute and a half or so, and it starts off with Zeke rocking the crop top, on draft night when he was drafted in the first round. And of course, it includes him jumping into the red kettle and leaping over defenders, and one of the big touchdowns against Pittsburgh. And it's got some of Brad Sham calls. It's got Jerry Jones talking, and of course, just kind of clowning around and laughing with teammates, and also some of his work with Salvation Army and some of the other community events. So it's a really, really, really nice tribute. And as I say, only the second Cowboy that they've done this for. So I think it's very special.
Christy, is there something going on with the Cowboys tight ends that you've learned about in this before the game?
Yeah, so Peyton Hendershot is not active for this game. So we had a clue that Peyton may not be playing when yesterday Sean McCune was elevated from the practice squad. So what happened was Peyton dinged his ankle just a little bit in last week's game at Phoenix, but then kind of aggravated it in practice this week. And so he ended up being a late addition to the injury report towards the end of the week. So he's inactive today. So that's why they went ahead and elevated Sean McCune. And the good thing about McCune, he's one of these roster glue guys, right? He's been on the practice squad this year, but has so much playing experience for this team and is excellent on special teams. So you're not losing anything special teams when you have McCune in for Hendershot.
Which is good, because when you play a team like the Patriots, special teams is always an added element. I mean, they blocked a field goal versus the Dolphins a couple of weeks ago in a way that no one's ever seen before, bringing a guy from across the field. So you got to be on your P's and Q's special teams-wise versus these Patriots.
You really do. And of course, Bill Belichick, defensive genius, right? But remember, he got to start special teams in the league. But, I think the thing about all teams in the NFL, they talk the talk when it comes to special teams, but very few, like the Cowboys and especially the Patriots, walk the walk. They used 2 of their draft picks this year on special teams, drafting the kicker, Ryland, in the 4th round, and Behringer, the rookie punter, in the 6th round. And you mentioned that great play on the block earlier this year, and that was Schooler. Everyone knows Matthew Slater, right? The son of the Hall of Famer, right, Jackie Slater, who's been such an outstanding special teams member for so many years and arguably the best in the league. But yeah, and that's the thing, the Patriots team, that one reason why I respect them so much, I mean, their defense, it's not that they have all of these standout names. Certainly Matthew Judon is one, and now Christian Gonzalez, who's the defensive rookie of the month and local kid from the Colony. So fans who are following the game this year know who he is and followed him probably in the draft. But these, they don't beat themselves. They're pretty solid. And then with special teams, they're able to flip the field. And as I say, they've made those extra commitments through the draft this year. So I really admire the way that the Patriots approach things, especially to special teams, because everyone talks about 3 phases of the game, but not everyone commits the resources that the Patriots do.
Christy, I was watching my college football yesterday, and congratulations to your Aggies for a big victory on this field, right? So we had to flip went from a college field to a pro field overnight?
Yeah, so they started yesterday afternoon. The good thing was that kickoff was 11 a.m. yesterday, and Aggies should have put it away by the third quarter. Unfortunately, it was about 3
Sound like an Aggie.
more like 2:30. Yeah, I do love it when Jerry Jones, who won a national championship as a member of the Arkansas Razorbacks, has to hand that Southwest Classic trophy to the Aggies after the game. I may have to mention that during Owner's Box today, or maybe not. Maybe I don't want to rub it in. But yeah, so what they did, they started changing out the field yesterday. They had it done by last night. But another thing today, this being the Cowboys' first home game in the month of October, this is the crucial catch game. So this is where you'll see coaches and the players who are wearing ball caps on the sideline when they're not wearing their helmets. This is when you see the multicolored stripes, and it's crucial catch for fighting cancer. But there are special logos, multicolored striped logos behind the end zone that they painted last night, and then over here on the Cowboys sideline on the far left side, and the wide white stripe that runs along the sideline. The slogan this year is "Intercept Cancer," and as part of the Crucial Catch campaign. And so kudos to the staff here that does such a great job. It's not unusual for them to change out they have to do it every year where you go from college field to NFL field, but they really had the extra work this week for the Crucial Catch. And by the way, if fans are wondering, why do they change out from college to pro? It's not just because of the blue star at midfield and the Cowboys script in the end zones. It's because in the NFL, the hash marks are skinnier. They're wider in college football and high school than they are in the NFL. So instead of having those double train tracks down the field that you used to see in the 70s and 80s in these multi-purpose stadiums, they go ahead and they change out the entire field because of the hash marks mainly.
Wow. Okay, Christy Scales with us here on The Fan. What do you know from an offensive line standpoint? What are we going to be working with today?
Well, going to get to see a lot more Chuma Edoga at left tackle because Tyron Smith is inactive this week. So Tyron suited up but did not play last week. He is inactive this week. So Chuma Edoga will get the start at left tackle, even though he didn't get as many reps as he normally would during the week. And that's so Awesome Richards, the rookie, got some. That's because Chuma was limited in practice because he's still dealing with that elbow injury from back in week 2. But it's really interesting if you look at how many offensive linemen have already played for the Cowboys this year. The only offensive lineman, your regular starter, who has played 100% of snaps through the first 3 games is the guy coming off the serious knee injury. That's Terrence Steele. The one who's taken the second most snaps is Edoga, who played left tackle last week but played guard the first couple games. He's got just over 80% of the snaps. And then Zach Martin has only 1 more snap at guard. He's got 58.8% so far this year. TJ Bass, his rookie backup, has 1 fewer, 58.4%, wow. 132 snaps to Zach's 133. So, and then Tyler Broaddus, good news that he'll return today. He's played 61% of snaps, but Brock Hoffman, who had to start for Tyler last week, played nearly 40% of snaps. So it's not unusual that you have to go through linemen. You know that it's going to happen throughout the course of the season, but these numbers through the first 3 games, I mean, when Edoga was signed in the offseason, it really got no attention from media and fans, and yet he's the guy who's taken just over 80% of your snaps so far, filling in at different spots along the line.
Wow. Yeah, that's just the way the cookies crumbled on this Cowboys offensive line. I think it's been at least 20 games since they've had their best starting 5, whatever they believe to be their starting 5 on the field, dating back to last year. So it's just kind of the way it's gone here for the Cowboys. So Edoga's at left tackle. Anything else we need to know, Christy, inactives or any more pregame things we need to know about?
Yeah, so in addition to Tyron Smith and Peyton Hendershot, you've got Israel Mukuamu, who's inactive again this week, Jalen Brooks, the rookie wide receiver, inactive, and then rookie defensive end Junior Fehoko and rookie cornerback Eric Scott are inactive, and Trey Lance is your emergency 3rd quarterback.
Wonderful. Christy, thanks as always for the time. We'll catch up with you next hour.
Sounds good. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Bryan.
There she goes, Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales. It's big, it's good, and it's only for Cowboys fans. The Cowboys special from Papa John's, a large 1-topping pizza for only $9.99. Order today. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, the official pizza of your Dallas Cowboys. One of the things we've talked about a lot this week, and I know McCarthy has harped on plenty, seemed like they improved in this area dramatically, and then last week it flared up again, and it's the penalties. I know it was a flag-happy crew last week on both sides Do we expect the same today? What do you know about what this referee crew?
Yeah, Scott Novak's got the call today, and he is not going to call many penalties. If you look at what he's done, he's got 32 calls in 3 games, so somewhere right around the average of 10 calls a game.
Okay.
So he's going to let you play. Big penalties for him are the offensive holding, defensive pass interference. Keep an eye on those things, and also defensive holding as well. So offensive holding, defensive pass interference, and defensive holding are things that he tends to call a little bit more.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good news. Last week with the penalties, and it was going both ways. So, but my gosh, it's like, why are we just gonna make it a ref show? Let's not make it a ref show today. Hopefully that is the case. They get that cleaned up. The red zone, the run defense, so many things that need to be cleaned up. Broaddus, I've seen a lot of Patriots jerseys here today, and I've also seen a lot of just random jerseys. We always make fun of the random jerseys. We're seeing them out and about here in the Miller Lite West Plaza as we inch closer and closer to a Cowboy kickoff. Come say hello if you're making your way over to the stadium. The gates are open. The doors are open. We cannot wait to see you. We got Cowboys, Patriots. Let's continue to break it down. We have Coach McCarthy live with Brad Sham coming up in just a few minutes, but let's set the scene. Cowboys, Patriots coming up next right here on The Fan.
Bill Nunnally, attorneys and counselors. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Jack Link's, feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Texaco. Texaco with Techron delivers unbeatable gas mileage. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. And by Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza.
Now here's Eric Chiofalo and Bryan Broaddus.
The pregame party is underway, ladies and gentlemen, live at AT&T Stadium, the Miller Lite West Plaza, where the party is a-rockin'. It is the official pregame show of America's team. We're under 60 minutes to kick off. The gates are open, the doors are open, and the vibes are good for a bounce-back Cowboy game day with the Patriots in town. Broaddus, you are a Super Bowl champion. You are a former scout for the Cowboys. You beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. You know what it takes to do it. What do you see from this Patriots defense that might give this Cowboy offense some fits?
Yeah, I think the pass rush is the first thing that comes to mind. They have a couple of good guys with Matthew Judon and then with Uche, the other edge rusher that they have. They're going to be a team that's going to try and give you a little bit of a different looks. The safeties are up and back group. They're going to try and disguise some things. They're not afraid to travel. I've seen this in watching the last three games that they play. Christian Gonzalez will travel with. He will go to the slot. I have a feeling that we're going to see him move around a little bit with CeeDee Lamb. But the one thing that Bill Belichick is going to always try and do is he is going to save something that you haven't seen. And then all of a sudden you get in a third down situation. They need to get off the field, and then you're going to see that front and that coverage. So be aware of a lot of things with this defense. It's going to give you some different looks. But it is a physical team up front when it comes to playing the run.
Let's continue the preview here, brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. This Patriots offense not near as explosive as the Cardinals offense last week. Can the Cowboys defense bounce back in a significant way today?
Yeah, it's going to be about getting off blocks. And then the one thing the Patriots have struggled with is the offensive line and how physical that they've been able to be with their group. They've had some struggles with the line and the way that they're able to with the injuries and the problems that we've dealt with here. And so, that's something though with the Cowboys, that when you deal with a front that plays like that, when you have a weaker offensive line, they're a little bit bad at guard. They've struggled with offensive tackle a little bit though with the movement and all that. I think it's been one of those things that the Patriots, they're coming in a little bit handicapped with this.
Yes, agreed, and that gives me great hope that the Cowboy defense is going to be flying around, looking fast, and hopefully just a bunch of tackling machines out there. It's a Zeke return Cowboy game day here. We have so many Patriots fans infiltrating the Miller Lite West Plaza. It's ridiculous. But as we go inside the numbers here, Broaddus, it's brought to you by Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. Better ingredients, better pizza. It is Papa John's, and the number, Babe Laufenberg gave it to us earlier in the program. The Patriots are 0 for their last 12 when they go up against a team that scores 25 points. The Patriots are 0 in their last 12 games when they give up 25 points or more. So I was thinking 20 might be the number, but 25 points, I think this offense is definitely capable of doing it. Got to clean up the red zone, hopefully get some more explosive plays, but we'll see if they can keep Zeke out of the end zone as well, looking for his first touchdown in a Patriots uniform. Just getting started here on the official pregame show of the Dallas Cowboys. We're live in the Miller Lite West Plaza of AT&T Stadium. We're getting you set, Cowboys and Patriots. Let's hear from the man himself, Mike McCarthy, Cowboys head coach, standing by with the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham. We hit the coach's corner. Next, you're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Apply now.
game. Hopefully the defense is flying around and wreaking all sorts of havoc for Stevenson, for Zeke, for Mac Jones and company. And let's see what this offense has to do bouncing back from last week's performance. And the man that'll be, pulling all the strings, head coach Mike McCarthy, standing by right now for today's Coach's Corner with the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham. Brad, take it away, sir.
Fellas, thanks. I think one of the things that jumps out at you when you look at Mike McCarthy's record is your success in avoiding back-to-back losses, having bounce-back games. What do you attribute that to?
I think probably just staying with the process, not to just give you a bland answer. I know you're looking for something really juicy here, but no, I think it's just the biggest thing. It's a long year. We're really big on, regardless of the result of Sunday, that you have to learn on Mondays. Obviously, it was a humbling loss in Arizona. I thought our guys were very, very accountable, and we turned the page by the time they left on Monday. So it's been a good week's work. We've had some hot weather. You were out there, so we've had some, really, really good practices, competitive practices. So I just want to see the guys take their preparation into this contest, and and I think with that we'll have success.
When did you see them change their focus on the practice field? Wednesday, Thursday?
Oh, I wouldn't say change their focus.
Get rid of last week.
Yeah, I don't think last week ever came to work on Wednesday. There were some team corrections still that were made Wednesday morning. But once we hit the O&D meetings, what's been said, what needed to be said was said. So, because some of the things, once again, regardless of the result of Sunday, Wednesday morning still is a self-scout opportunity for the whole team. So, that's really as far as it carried for us.
So one of the great things about this game, I think, is the more it changes, the more it stays the same. One of the oldest adages in the sport is you got to run the ball and stop the run, and that really looks like it's going to be important today. Huh?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this game will always start up front, because when it doesn't, eventually it's going to catch up to you. So, that's no different for how we want to play on both sides of the ball. So that'll definitely be the focal point. We're expecting some, coverage over the top from their defense, and obviously we're expecting them to run it at us in heavy run action. So I think with that's the beauty of the game. So maybe both teams will come out with the run and shoot. Who knows? But no, it's always fun. It's always a challenge, playing the Patriots, because they're very game plan specific, and I'm just looking forward to get out in there, get going, and see what the challenge is going to be.
What do they do schematically to make them so difficult to run against?
Well, I think it's the way they're built. I mean, they're built to stop the run. You look at their inside players, the two gap, the anchors. They'll have three anchors inside. They're going to set the wide edges on you, to keep you. They're trying to create a phone booth in their base fronts on first and second down, which is challenging to run and also get outside of them on the action game and so forth. So. But, I think with that, you have to look at the other opportunities.
Well known that one of Bill Belichick's strengths is identifying what he thinks is what you do best and trying to find a way to take it away. So do you find yourself during the week saying, I think he's thinking, so I'm thinking, to make him think?
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's what game planning is. You have to, you're trying to project the type of game that you're getting ready to compete in on Sunday. We fully expect him to double CD and maybe one other. So we have practiced that. We're anticipating some defense that we haven't seen yet. So both Bryan and I have had experiences competing against Coach Belichick where he's flipped the script. So I mean, schematically there'll be some level of challenge, but at the end of the day it's still about football, and it starts up front.
Last thing, very easy to understand why last week you went in the offensive line the way you did on the left side. Had you chosen to flip-flop Tyler Smith and Aduga, you would have had more time to do it this week. Obviously not what you wanted to do. What went into that decision?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, you got projection of the injuries, and frankly, you got to remember Chuma missed a lot of time in training camp with his injuries. So, and he's more comfortable at tackle, and Tyler, has missed a couple weeks, and last week was his first week back too. So we were leaning towards the continuity of both those guys and letting them line up and play another week together.
All right, have fun. Appreciate the time.
All right, thank you, Brad.
Fellas, back to you.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Coach. This Cowboys offense is getting side-eyed a little bit. They've struggled in the red zone They got a tough task versus Bill Belichick in this defense. What does does Belichick still like to? I mean, are the Cowboys at some point in this game going to see the Patriots in a defense and in a front, something that they haven't seen before?
Yeah, they will, and it might not be early in the game. At some point, there's going to be the one thing that you have to understand is when you play the Patriots is you have to have a first half game plan and a second half game plan, because that's what they're going to do to you defensively. They have the ability. It's a base 3-4 front that, because of the linebackers or the way that their linebackers play, they can morph into a 4-3 front, or they could bring slot pressure, safety pressure. You know, there's all kinds of things that they could do to you, and they'll try and take advantage of you that way, and they'll test your protections. They'll test your ability to run the ball with how they play their gaps. It's a defense that's not big on getting off the snap. They like to get into their guys, kind of control, and then hold the gaps, and then allow their linebackers to run downhill, or their safeties to run downhill, and then make the plays. So you're going to have to deal with a team that's going to throw you a couple of different looks. Babe talked about their ability to play zone coverage. They like doing that. They like playing man coverage, probably more zone. But as I mentioned earlier, they played what we call cover 6 against the Dolphins at some point in that game, where it is where you take a combination of cover 2, cover 4, thus you get the 6, half man, half zone. So they're going to do something, Dak Prescott, 8 years in the league, they are going to test Dak Prescott's ability to read their secondary. And they have the ability to, if you break down up front, if you have pressure or allow pressure, with their edge guys, they're going to hope that you're going to throw you in, maybe they can get an interception or get a turnover off you that way. Dak played outstanding. It was one of the best games I think I've ever seen him play in 2021 when that game that they won New England in overtime. It was outstanding how he read the defense.
Yes, the overtime walk-off to CeeDee Lamb. Let's get some Dak to Lamb action for some touchdowns today. That would be a beautiful thing. It's the official pregame show of the Dallas Cowboys right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. The party is underway. The doors are open. And if you're coming to the game, come say hello to us in the Miller Lite West Plaza. Let's get to know the enemy, and we'll go into the owner's box with Cowboys COO Stephen Jones. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
It's time to get back in the game. Weight loss surgery with My Bariatric Solutions can help. I had to sleeve and lost
the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Texaco. Texaco with Techron delivers unbeatable gas mileage. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. Arrow Exterminators, official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com. Here's Eric Chiofalo and Bryan Broaddus.
Just over 30 minutes to kick off Cowboys Patriots right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Let's go inside the owner's box with Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales and Cowboys COO Stephen Jones.
And Stephen Jones joins us on the Cowboys sideline. And Stephen, I want to ask you about the special video tribute that you're going to be showing shortly of Zeke Elliott. And it's only the second time that you've done it for a former Cowboy who was on the opposing sideline as an active player, DeMarcus Ware being the first. But you have it timed after the national anthem, so you know that Zeke is going to be there on the visiting sideline and we'll see it. Why was it so important to the Cowboys that Zeke sees it and also hears the response of the crowd?
Well, first of all, we've had some great players playing other uniforms that are still our all-time great Cowboys, whether it's Emmitt Smith or DeMarcus Ware, as you mentioned, the tribute we did there. Certainly Zeke fits in those same shoes. He was just such a tremendous competitor for us, a great player making great plays on great stages, and, he just has a special place in all Cowboy fans' hearts. And no, we'll see his best today, but this was just something small we felt like we wanted to do because, our feelings toward him and how much we think of him.
And that must have been just a very difficult decision, not just personnel-wise, but as a family and just for the affinity that you have for Zeke personally.
Well, those things are always difficult. Like you said, we've had great players put on other uniforms. I mentioned Emmitt Smith as well as DeMarcus Ware, but he certainly fits in that, and it was a difficult decision. And it seems like for whatever reason, we always get to play them when they're on the other team, and they always seem to play really well. So I know we'll have our work cut out for us today.
I actually did an event with Emmitt Smith this past Tuesday. It was for UPS, and so we had some downtime in between takes for this video. And he admitted that when he came back as a member of the Arizona Cardinals that he was very emotional and maybe a little bit of tears as he was in the visiting locker room. So how do you think, you think it's going to be super emotional for Zeke as well? And I guess he's always been able to channel his energies.
Well, Zeke's got a lot of energy, and I'm sure his competitive juices are flowing. I can't speak to his emotion, but I know he knows what Jerry thinks of him, what I think of him, what the organization thinks of him, what his teammates think of him, and I wish him nothing but the best.
Because because the Patriots are an AFC team, yes, we played up there 2 years ago, but generally only once every 4 years that the Cowboys get to play an AFC opponent. And when you're going against a Bill Belichick team who is masterminding the defense, what is it that you most appreciate about a Bill Belichick defense and how he plays your Cowboys?
They're going to be well coached and prepared. We think the Cardinals were prepared. These guys, Bill will have these guys coached up. He'll have a great game plan for them in terms of putting them in the best position to win a football game. And we've got our work cut out for us. I mean, Bill Belichick's one of the greatest coaches to ever coach this game. And we have nothing but respect for him and know that he'll have those Patriots prepared.
And another challenge for your offensive line, Chuma Edoga getting the start again at left tackle this week for Tyron Smith. How is Tyron, and how did Chuma do last week in his start?
Chuma did great. We thought he did great. I thought all three of the young linemen, our two college free agents too, Bass and Hoffman, did a great job last week as well. They weren't any reason a part of why we didn't win the game, but certainly we feel like it's a compliment to Tyron that we think he's going to be back quick, because if we thought that was going to be extended, we'd had to look at Tyler moving out to left tackle. But Chuma's doing such a good job there. We're comfortable with that, and hoping Tyron gets back, but at the same time have a lot of confidence in Chuma.
We appreciate the time. Thanks so much, Stephen. That's Stephen Jones in the owner's box. And here as we continue counting down to Patriots-Cowboys kickoff, let's go back outside to the plaza and rejoin Bryan and Eric.
Thank you, Christy. Today's View from the Owner's Box is brought to you by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. It is Papa John's, and now it's time to pause 10 seconds to allow stations to identify themselves along the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
And now we get to know the enemy, brought to you by Arrow Exterminators, the official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. I think on the field, we got to watch these tight ends. Broaddus, you've told us, Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki, these guys, that Mac Jones likes to feed them, and he's been efficient when doing so. And then I'll also say, man, it's been a lot of red. It's been a sea of red. The Patriots, they're loud, they're rabid, they're rowdy, and they're ready to root their fans on. So hopefully Cowboys fans inside of AT&T Stadium are ready to rock the house today, as it's Cowboys, Patriots game day, a Zeke return Cowboy game day as well. Let's go inside the booth and hear from the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, coming up next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite.
brought to you by WinStar World Casino and Resort, the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Brad, happy game day as you watch this Patriots team, especially this defense. Does it feel like a vintage Belichick defense to you?
I think they're good. I'm not sure what a vintage Belichick defense is, because that can change according to their personnel. I'm not sure they've got a Vince Wilfork or, I like the young rookie corner Gonzalez. Whether he is a young Gilmore or not, we'll find out. But they've got a situation, I think, Eric, where their whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and they're going to be, the statistics bear out. They'll be hard to run against, and you're going to have to figure out a way to do it.
Brad, I really do appreciate the fact that you asked him the question about moving Tyler Smith out to left tackle, though. Were you okay with his answer that he gave you? Yeah.
Well, I was going to say to you, what did you think about the answer?
I'll tell you what, I'm about to lose my voice about what I'm about to do. I think that I'm okay with the description or what they're thinking about doing there. He's thinking he's going to get Tyron Smith back here next week. And with that being said, why don't we just go ahead and keep Tyler Smith at the left guard? Don't keep flip-flopping him. Even though I think he could do it, I buy what he's trying to sell you and I.
I do understand. I understand the reasoning, and I would say that I think you and I are on the same page about what we've seen on tape. Really impressed with how Aduga played guard the first two games. Didn't expect him to play that well. Really kind of needing to see more at left tackle. And the fact that they are more comfortable there doesn't really impress me. I'm going to be fine with Tyler Smith wherever you put him. Personally, I would have flipped him. But, they've spent 45 years not asking my opinion, so I don't know why they changed now.
Welcome to my world as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Last time they cared about me was 2005. That's the last time they asked my opinion.
At least they've asked yours.
Brad, we appreciate the time, sir. Enjoy the game.
All right, boys. Have a good day. Thanks.
Yes, sir. There he goes, voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham. And now we welcome in Christy Scales, Cowboys sideline reporter, for her keys to the game, brought to you by Pollock Aurora, proud supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Christy, what's Dan Quinn saying about this defense? Are they ready for a bounce-back performance?
Yeah, it's so many mistakes last week, an uncharacteristic game for the Cowboys defense. And I was talking with Dan about an hour and a half ago, and I said, Dan, I have to be honest, towards the end of that game last week, and you could see the frustration. The guys were mad, not playing the way they wanted to play last week. And I was thinking at the end of the game, the old Mr. T and the A team, I pity the fool. And as that game ended, I thought, I pity the Patriots offensive line and Mac Jones this week, with the Cowboys defense taking out their frustration. And Dan laughed. And then we started talking about 80s TV, but he knew exactly what I was talking about and agreed with that analogy. And then said the same thing to Adam Dirty, who is the Cowboys defensive line coach, and he's in London. He grew up in London, and he says, oh, yeah, we got the A team. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think you're right. So I expect this defense to go back to being itself and seeing what we saw the first 2 weeks and not in week 3 in Arizona.
Absolutely. Christy, thanks as always for the time. Enjoy the game.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Bryan.
There she goes, Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales. It is prediction time for us now, Broaddus, as we are broadcasting live from the Miller Lite West Plaza of AT&T Stadium. The party is now moved indoors as we inch closer and closer to kickoff. I'm going